Hello, my dear friends. Today, I'd like to discuss some very recent news about the 2x2s, and that is the press bulletin put out by the FBI a couple days ago. Said that the FBI is investigating the 2x2s and that the FBI has set up with basically an intake process, asking for anyone who has been a victim or knows of any crimes committed by the 2x2s to report it to the FBI's office in Omaha, Nebraska. Now, these crimes could have happened anywhere in the United States or anywhere in the world for that matter, and but it's really a national and international investigation by the FBI. People don't maybe people don't realize the FBI has it's a affiliate offices in many other countries than the United States, so it can um, investigate in those other countries as well and work with law enforcement in those other countries. But yeah, this is a very big deal that the FBI, which is the premier national crime law enforcement organization in the United States, is going after this or investigating this cult, this 2x2 cult. I don't think that's happened to basically any other religious denomination. I may be wrong, but it's a pretty big deal. And the FBI posted this news item that they were investigating 2x2s, not just on their Omaha office press outlet, but also on every office. So if you look on Twitter, all of the offices in the United States have said that they're all to use this intake mechanisms. They actually have a special website set up. The FBI has a special website set up to intake all of these problems of crime and so forth that anybody who's seen happen with the 2x2s to report. I'll link to it in the description of the video. Now, what does this all mean? Well, first of all, it means a great deal. The FBI does not do this sort of stuff just because of hearsay or because there's some, people say that some bad things are going on. That's not how it works. The FBI has, these are it's resources they have to commit to this. There's a lot of field agents who are working on this, and they've set up a whole infrastructure to deal with. That means there's actually a lot of credible evidence that's been collected already. And the FBI has actually done a lot of interviews already with a number of people. So this is just widening the net, so to speak, widening the net to get more and more evidence. So, and we don't know exactly who the FBI has talked to because, of course, the FBI you won't know anything even after there's been convictions. It's you only know who's been convicted or who's been charged. You won't never know what the FBI has done in their investigation for a good reason. They don't need to disclose that. Now, from the 2x2 side, how is this all being received? Well, I think it needs to be pointed out that from if you raise in the 2x2s, your belief about law enforcement is that law enforcement is like another world. Like it's outside the 2x2s. It's not part of the 2x2s. It's not, um, it's of the world. It's worldly. It's worldly. Okay. And you shouldn't have any interaction with law enforcement. If there's any problems that you experience, you should take them to the 2x2 ministers. You should never go to the law enforcement. And we've seen many examples of that. In fact, there was a case, I believe it was in Canada, and it was a man named Bruce Waddell, and he was a 2x2 minister, I believe, in the province of Manitoba. And he had been sexually abusing children, and in fact, actually, some of his own relatives, who also were children, but many other children who were not his own relatives, who were 2x2 members. And inevitably he got caught or was reported by some of the parents, but not to law enforcement. They reported it to, of course, to the 2x2 ministers and so forth. And finally, one set of parents, I believe, reported it to law enforcement. And so Bruce Waddell was charged, and then he had to basically made a plea bargain with a district attorney, and but this is the most interesting thing in the statement, the press statement, where they interviewed Bruce Waddell or interviewed these 2x2 ministers who were involved with him at the time. It said, yes, Bruce has, he was raping these other kids, but it's all been handled internally, where everything's good. The victims and the families everything's been settled. So i.e., keep law enforcement out of this. We handle these things internally. And I bring that up because that is the attitude amongst 2x2s, that you never take things to law enforcement, never. So the fact that the 2x2s are now involved with law enforcement is involved with them is a huge, like to say, mind-altering event. It's not just law enforcement, like the local police department. This is the FBI. Now, there is no law enforcement agency on the planet that's as scary for the 2x2s than the FBI. So that tells you that the response from 2x2s about this is going to be, quite a shocker. Now, how are they responding? Because we can see some of their responses from some of the forums that they're involved in and talking to some of them. So some of the 2x2 ministers have sent out very cursory, short emails to some of their members saying, there is an FBI investigation and we encourage you to cooperate with the FBI. Meaning, what's obviously not cooperating if the FBI is a major problem. They can't tell people to not cooperate. That's a crime, right? Obstruction of justice. So, it's not as if they're not acknowledging that there has been all these crimes committed. They're not acknowledging that the FBI has been investigating them for a while. None of that stuff. It's just, the way they're portraying it is that, yeah, it looks like just by happen chance, the FBI is talking to a few people who, no big deal. It's just like, this is normal, par for course. This happens to every group. Don't worry about it. No big deal. Okay, that's the way it's being portrayed by these ministers. Now, we've heard some verbal statements from some of these ministers that they've said that this is all because of some rabble rousers, that there's some allegations, false allegations, of course, yes, by some ex-2x2 ministers or members or people who are bitter, bitter, or have a hard heart. And that's why this is all happening. And of course, when the FBI looks into this, they're going to find this whole thing is just a charade rather, that and the 2x2s will be cleared. Okay, that's what we've heard verbally from some of these 2x2 ministers. Now, of course, that's not the reality at all. The reality is the FBI has investigated already for quite a while and has confirmed that there is very serious evidence against these 2x2s. And this whole website the FBI set up is to intake more evidence. So here's the key thing. If you're a 2x2 member or a 2x2 minister, or if you were a member, you could be liable. You could be in the FBI's crosshairs. They could know things that you've done that you yourself have not disclosed to the FBI. Okay, so the FBI is just looking for more and more evidence about you. Okay, they're going to other people who you don't know. They're going to other people. You don't know who these people are. You don't know who's talked about you or told about you. And when they collect enough evidence about you, then they will come to you, and then they will ask you certain questions, and they will pretend that it's all just like friendly chat. But here's the thing that I think a lot of people don't realize: lying to a federal officer is a felony crime. So just let me put this clearly. If an FBI agent asks you, did you do such and such on, or did you brush your teeth this morning? Okay. And let's say they have evidence that you didn't brush your teeth. And you said, yes, I brushed my teeth this morning, whatever. That's a lie, and that's a felony crime. And look, if you think I'm just being, bizarre about this, there's actually a person who got caught in one of these traps. His name is General Michael Flynn. And you can go look him up. That's how he was nabbed by the FBI. And it was for one of these stupid things where they just trapped him on a certain day, say, did you meet this person on this day as opposed to that day? And he got the days mixed up or something like this. And they had him, that's it. That's a felony crime. Okay. You can't get out of that. Once it's happened, you can't get out. You can't say, oh, I made a mistake. No, no, no. That was a felony crime, lying to the FBI. So my point is, the FBI is going around talking to a bunch of people, 2x2 ex-members, members, ministers, and so forth, collecting information about people. Okay. And then they will go to that person that they've been collecting information about, and they will ask them questions, and that person lies to them. The FBI has got them on that, just on the line. They may never get them on any other crime, but they got them on telling a lie to a federal agent. That's a felony crime. Okay? Felony crimes are pretty serious. Not a misdemeanor, it's a felony. So, and then the FBI can use that as leverage to get this person to cooperate with the FBI. So then again, you don't know who has been, let's say, rolled by the FBI and is now cooperating with the FBI as an informant. If you're inside the 2x2s, or if you're a member of the 2x2s, or you were an ex-member of the 2x2s, I would be very afraid. I wouldn't think this is going to roll over very quick, easily, or be no problems. That's not what's going to happen. This is a very serious situation, and basically every 2x2 should consider everyone they know or have ever known who knows them as an informant for the FBI. So if I was a 2x2 member, a minister, or an ex-member, and the FBI came to me, I would tell them everything. I wouldn't lie about anything. I wouldn't try to get anything confused. I would tell them everything, because that's the best way to get out of this situation with the least amount of damage as possible to yourself. So, in fact, if I was in one of these people, I would contact the FBI through their website and tell them everything that I knew, just to get it out, because if they come to you and interview you, you're in. I can assure you, they've got you set up in a trap. I can assure you, and there's no way out of it. There's no way out of it. Then you say, "Well, I won't talk to the FBI." Yeah, well, they'll just subpoena you. They'll subpoena you, and then they'll be intent on entrapping you. Or it's not entrapment. I mean, you're going to entrap yourself, but it's a major problem. So if I was a 2x2, ex-2x2, or minister, I would just contact the FBI, tell them everything I knew, everything. Don't exclude anything. Just get it out. I mean, it's better to get this out and deal with the consequences rather than because if the FBI, the thing is, like, they don't want to spend a lot of resources on it. Okay, the more resources they spend, the more they have to justify to their bosses why they spent those resources, meaning they have to get bigger and bigger convictions, right? So you don't want to be one of the ones who's obstructed them for a while, and that makes them more incentivized to go for a bigger and bigger conviction. Okay, it's not the FBI is not an organization to mess around with. This isn't Podunk Police Department. The FBI has enormous resources at their disposal, including, like, they can get basically everything that's known about you. Okay, they can subpoena it, or with warrants from anything, your tax records, your banking records, everything. So all these people are holding money for the 2x2s, these so-called bankers, 2x2 bankers. Just disclose your money. Just disclose it right now. Just get it out. You're going to get entrapped. You're going to entrap yourself. So let me just go and roll forward what's going to happen. I believe the the FBI is going to end up making some convictions, and the FBI is looking for evidence of human trafficking. Now, what does that mean? It just means that victims were transported across state lines, or victims were traffic to other perpetrators or stuff like that. Basically, they're looking for evidence of conspiracy. What does conspiracy mean? Conspiracy just means there was intent and planning, intent on planning in committing some of these crimes. The crimes they're looking at particularly are these sex crimes, but there are other financial crimes also. So the intent on and planning, if they can find any evidence of that, that's conspiracy. And I mean, I should say intent and planning amongst multiple people involved in it. Okay, that's conspiracy. And if they prove that this conspiracy, or they can show that this conspiracy exists, they will then say, okay, this organization is involved in this conspiracy. Okay, and you say, well, the 2x2s are not an organization; they're just a fellowship. What the FBI has at their disposal something called the RICO Act, which is a U.S. law, and there's actually a law, basically a copy of this law in every U.S. state also, that says it's a racketeering law, meaning that they can treat informal organizations as if they are formal organizations. They can say, okay, yeah, you 2x2s, yeah, you're not a real organization, like in a sense like you're formal, but we're going to like appeal to the RICO Act and now classify you as a formal organization, and therefore we can charge you and investigate you as if you are a formal organization. Okay. What is this? This is exactly what happens with mafia, organized crime, right? As you know, organized crime don't have a legal organization. They are informal organization. And so the RICO Act was designed specifically to go after organized crime, to treat them as formal organizations and then use all the powers to go after them. Like who are the board of directors, who are the leaders, who are the CEOs and so forth, right? So yeah, for example, for organized crime, the top guys in this organized crime, they're not killing people. They have other people that they pay to do that for them. And so, you can't get the top guys on murder, right? Murder charges. But of course, if you say, look, this is an actual organization with the RICO Act, it's an actual organization, and these guys at the top are giving the orders for the guys on the bottom to do the killing, then you can go after the guys on the top for murder charges. Okay. Well, it's the same ththing that's going to happen with the 2x2s. Now, I don't think there's murder charges are the issue, but it's going to be other these financial crimes and these human trafficking. And they're going to go after all the guys on the top and in the middlings too, right? They're going to roll up everybody. Everyone is involved is going to be guilty in some way or another, right? So that's the issue, is going out using the RICO Act. And it's not. I should say that the RICO Act, even though it was designed for organized crime, it's been used for a lot of other things which are not mafias, right? It's been used actually with some businesses that were colluding with each other. It's been used with some other things too. So this is not uncommon to use it in a situation like this. And it's a very powerful weapon that federal law enforcement has at their disposal. Now, once the FBI gets some convictions, and there's been some trials about this, the next step will be that there will be civil charges. Okay, civil charges are charges by individual people, private individuals against the 2x2s. Now, remember, in the past, if you were a victim of child sexual assault or something, or one of these crimes by 2x2s, you couldn't. Who could you sue? You couldn't sue the 2x2s Incorporated because they don't exist, right? You'd have to try to sue the individual perpetrator. Well, if it's 2x2 minister, first of all, like every 2x2 is going to rally around 2x2 minister and lie to protect them. So you have a very difficult time getting evidence. And number two, even if you were successful in getting charges and conviction against this person, they have no money because they're 2x2 minister. So you'd waste all this money on legal expenses, and you wouldn't even get anything back, not a penny. So, but in the case now, if after the FBI gets all of these convictions, then you can as a victim, you can say, oh, I'm going to sue 2x2s Incorporated or 2x2 and we're going to use the RICO Act, right? Because the FBI would have already used the RICO Act. So you can sue the 2x2 organization, and the FBI will have already ferreted out where all the monies are in their investigation. So you're basically, as a private citizen, doing a civil lawsuit against the 2x2s, you're going to be piggybacking on all of the work that the FBI has done, right? So if the thing is that if some of these 2x2 members and leadership, they think they're going to get off with just a few convictions here and there from the FBI. Well, like I said, even after the FBI is long finished, the convictions are long completed, there's going to be civil lawsuits. They're going to go on forever. And these lawsuits will be able to go after all the money, all the people involved. Look, it's not just a case of they'll say, well, it's the money that's held, by these 2x2 bankers. That's what's going to. No. That's just the tip of the iceberg. They'll be able to go after all the personal assets. So if you're a convention ground owner, well, you're going to lose all your property. If you're one of these 2x2 royalties, you're going to lose all of your businesses, all of it. That's the magnitude of what's going to happen here. There's really no way out. I don't think. I really these 2x2s have really dug a huge grave for themselves, and they all could have, this all could have been avoided, because this sort of stuff was back in the 1980s. These child sexual assault by religious leaders was a big topic amongst other denominations, right? Obviously, the Catholic Church was the one that most prominently people know. There are movies made about it, but and the 2x2s, there was widely known inside 2x2s that this was going on with them as well inside, and they refused to do nothing about it. It was brought to their attention by a number of people, and then even in the early 2000s, there was a whole website created called Wings, that's called wingsfortruth.com, and it was set up by some members and ex-members to try to, collect all of the incidences of of child sexual assault among the 2x2s and publicize them, and then show them to the 2x2 leadership and get the 2x2 leadership to do something about this. And the 2x2 leadership did nothing, right? I mean, the the, the best example of how the 2x2s have dealt with child sexual assault is this guy named Jerome Frandl, who was a overseer, I think in Ohio, Michigan or Ohio, and he had a 2x2 minister underneath him who had child sexual assault. I did it to someone. Anyways, this overseer Frandl, he was supposed to, by the state law, he was what's called a mandatory reporter. He was supposed to report that to the state that this guy his underling had done this. Well, he didn't. So then he ended up getting charged by the state, and his defense, he said, "I'm not guilty of this at all." And my defense is, I'm not a minister, I'm not a member of a religious organization. There is no religious organization at all. Okay, that's how they handle things. That's how the 2x2s handle things. They handle things exactly like organized crime. Exactly. So, I mean, if you keep putting off the inevitable, which is what the 2x2s have done, they kept trying to weasel their way out of this all the time. Finally, the big dogs are going to come for you. In this case, the big dogs are the FBI, and things are not going to go well.